there you go. We're basically doing the transition of, for generation, for estate planning to, something that could be
Fantastic.
recreational for the kids and the family, and legacy
Wonderful.
that'll, maybe they could develop, next generation.
Yeah. How many acres is it?
That's about 20, but there's a bunch of it around. So I mean,
That's wonderful.
it's part of the old
Uh,
farm system out here. So yeah, so
that's fantastic.
we're in that stage of life, So it is indeed,
No, it sounds wonderful. I've
just want to
dealt with,
live every day to the fullest, because what's happening now with on the federal level with digital assets, and I've got involved in this very early, and actually just got off email with Senator Scott's office. They reached out to see what's going on. I mean, it's just lots of stuff happening. I mean, I would not be doing this otherwise. If Bitcoin hadn't kind of found its way into my life, that time.
well, I'm new to it and trying to learn, so that's really encouraging to hear.
Yeah. Well, you just kind of follow its path. I mean, what it's what the direction is. I mean, obviously in real estate, I mean, tokenization of assets is going to be the next big move where real world assets become tokenized, and then the ability to transfer them and basically buy an apartment in London, or a flat in London, or apartment in Paris, just clicking on the Google bar. I mean, it's that type of technology is happening, but you can't do it until you actually tokenize the asset. So and then obviously you've got there are all kinds of compliance issues, and obviously reporting deeds. I mean, but it's coming. I mean, and some of the third world countries have already accepted it because just from a leapfrog standpoint, we've got one of our advisors that worked on that project with the Medici Ventures Group. They put together the real estate transfer blockchain for Wyoming's. I think they did that in Taos County, if I remember correctly. So, but there's George. Hey, man.
Hey.
Hey, George.
Yeah, we're just sitting there chatting.
Okay. Let me get Ashley.
If I could show my car phone. Uh-oh.
Let's see. I'm waiting on oh, there she is. Oh, I see you.
I'm here.
Okay. Well, good morning. Thank you for managing the call there, Dennis. I think we're done.
Okay. There you go. Always ready to pinch it for you, George.
Yeah.
And likewise, I know.
All right. Very exciting day today, I'm telling you. This is for a number of reasons, and we'll get into it in a little bit. But anyway, and thank y'all from the Sandbox Initiatives for joining us today too, Victoria, David. So anyway, and David, like your time is, are you Mountain Time or are you Pacific Time? So is it like 7:30 or 6:30 there?
It is 7:30 over here. Fortunately, it's not 6:30.
Yeah, okay. All right, excellent. So usually what we start with is saying hello and letting Patty and Aaron kind of briefly summarize what the hell is that?
The kitty cat.
Oh, okay.
Willow. She's helping. I'm ready whenever you want me to go.
All right, go away. Fire away.
Okay. All right. It's been kind of a choppy week. The market was closed on Monday, and overall, it's just been up and down. On Wednesday, the NASDAQ and the Dow were, the NASDAQ and the S&P, nope, that was the Dow, were 1% from all-time highs. but overall the week has not been great. The S&P is down 0.05 or up 0.05%. Nasdaq's down 0.21%. This morning it looks like things are trying to turn positive, which is good.
Oh, really? The Dow futures looked like it was going to be down a couple hundred points.
Sorry, I'm so focused on the Nasdaq. The Dow, I'll tell you what it is.
Nasdaq is going to be up.
Dow Jones is down 0.60. Nasdaq is up 0.14%. S&P is down 0.09, but it'll turn positive.
All right.
Russell is up 0.5% almost. So the WTI crude is, it seems like gas is rallying, but really it's not. It's only up $1 since 2 weeks ago. ICE Brent crude is 76. Natural gas is doing great. It's finally staying above $4. It's $4.30. Gold hit an all-time
electric bill that I also have gas with Dominion.
Well, make sure you turn over to use your gas, not the electricity will help you.
Okay.
Let's see. Gold hit an all-time high Wednesday. It's pulled back a little this morning, but it's still doing great. It's about to hit 3,000. It's at 29.45 about 5 o'clock this morning. Silver is staying above 30, so that's good. The gold ETF last week, $1.5 billion poured into it. That's up 1.47%. So the inflows into the gold ETFs are building, I guess. Well, I won't speculate why. 10-year, the bond, it's been staying at 4.5%. It finally went down this morning. It's about 4.4%. So that's good for the equities. Dollars down to 106.72. Remember a couple of weeks ago, it was 107 and it had been at 109. Wednesday was kind of negative. The FOMC minutes were released and the Feds were kind of hawkish, and I guess what were in the minutes, and it indicated that there may not be another cut this year. Remember, we were expecting 2. So that was not good for the market. On Thursday, the jobless claims came in higher than expected. They came in at 219,000. They only expected 215, and last month was 214. So it'll be interesting to see if everybody who's getting laid off now applies for a job and those numbers don't make it into the numbers in March, but we shall see. Yeah. So the market reacted in a negative way. Also, the Walmart earnings and their chit chat about the future, they just said they're unsure about the tariffs, but they would definitely have an impact. So it was really no big deal, although the CNBC made a big deal about it. It was up, Walmart was up 114 and it only went down $7, and they acted like the world was falling apart. So all of retail got hit yesterday. Banks also went down. Yep.
Can I cut you off just a little bit? I'm gonna put Aaron on. I'm trying to get to Ashley, who's our guest today, and so I needed those. I'm glad you told me several of those. They helped me get out of the market.
Oh, good. Okay, let me just say one last thing. China trade is taken off. Alibaba, for the past 3 years has been staying between $78 and $90. It's up to 141 this morning. I'm sure it's going to go higher. Ryan Cohen announced that he put $1 billion worth of his personal money into Alibaba, which is about 7 billion shares. And
who was that? Ryan
Cohen.
Ryan Cohen. Okay.
GameStop. And remember, I think it was in December, David Tepper said he's all in on China. Yeah. Wow. And the big short guy, also, I printed out his investments. He's got a lot of Alibaba, Baidu, PDD. So anyway, China up.
Thank you. As always, thank you. And Aaron, you want to take about 2 minutes to wrap up what the hell's going on in the crypto market?
Yeah, I'll do my best. I was pretty optimistic about February. Last Sunday was a bearish close, so kind of removed some of that optimism for this week and kind of for February. The 22nd is typically a big day for crypto and stocks as well. A lot of the analysis I do, there's two or three main people that I follow, and they're completely contrasting right now. So it's kind of a coin flip. I don't think anybody knows anything as of right now, but I am leaning more bearish within the coming month. There's a lot of big whale orders in the order book that, have us looking at a potential 86K Bitcoin or even a 76 throughout March. So I am
What?
leaning more towards, yeah. So March, and they seem pretty convinced. They've been I say probably the best order book, and it's predicted a lot of these bigger movements. So be prepared, and it's going to be volatile. And I don't I think there's more downside than upside. Definitely volatility. Seems very convinced. So I don't know. I'm kind of watching it and seeing if that thesis changes throughout the end of the month. But any upside that we see, I'm not getting too excited about. But really towards the end of March into April, that's the up only like bull market as of right now with what they're predicting. But crystal ball and all that. So mostly just keeping some powder on the side and trying to load up on the dips if we get them.
All right.
What happened to the 120K prediction?
Yeah, that would invalidate the March. So if that, and at this point, I, it's going to be really hard to invalidate that just based on the amount of money that's sitting in the order books at those prices. That it's hard to not at least go down and fill those orders. Just based on the sheer volume of it, like the hundreds of millions of in buy orders down at those prices. So it's yeah, it's and like I said, it could change, but they're pretty convinced, and they've been spot on a lot of these like bigger macro movements too. So I'm just closely watching it. Then the flip side is, Ethereum's going to break away, and you're going to get an altcoin season, and it's right on the threshold of that too. So you're kind of in this median, coin flip territory, at least on the lower time frame.
All right, well, let me just jump in here and say a couple of things. First of all, this is not an investment club. We do not offer financial advice. So you just go on your own. You do your own research. Next, I need to say that this meeting is recorded and will also be available on my YouTube channel if you have the link. It's not for public. It's just for if you got the link and want to revisit this. So anyway, so there was just a ton of stuff going on this week, and stuff going on at the State House with crypto and some other issues. And then anyway, I just wanted to and so I wanted to get right to Ashley, Ashley and I met about a month ago at a committee hearing in the Senate, the South Carolina Senate, and she's graciously agreed to perfectly time her presence on our call today, because earlier this morning, Ryan Armstrong from Coinbase was on CNBC, and sort of an announcement coming out. Some of you know about it, but anyway, I just wanted to say hey to Ashley and thank you for joining us. And you're in DC, and so a lot going on in DC. I've got some things to talk about that as well. There's a roundtable coming up with CFTC that I'm sure you're familiar with and probably will attend, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I'm gonna there's some legislation in the South Carolina Assembly or in the legislature for putting some guardrails on cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin mining, and so they're trying to craft that. The landscape may have changed as of yesterday or today, I don't know, but anyway, that was one of the reasons. Ashley was there, Dennis was there, Slayton was there, And so we've sort of been following this, and they finished up yesterday, Dennis, and see if I'm not right. They finished up yesterday and voted it out of committee to go on the Senate floor, I guess. Is that your?
Yeah, let me help. Yeah, let me help you out here, George. Yeah, it's advancing to full committee, and it'll be heard next week. Eric Davidson will be coming in to answer questions for the committee, and the blockchain basics bill is designed really to be just that. Some definitions, one of which, in this case, of the definition of staking as an opportunity to the legislature, or really to override the SEC lawsuit that the South Carolina Securities Commissioner filed as one of the 10, right, Ashley? For some reason, I've always been thinking 7, but I was doing my research this morning. I think there were 10 actions against Coinbase and Coinbase Global.
Oh,
and I'll hand it up, and I'll go ahead and just segue right over to Ashley and let her, lead in from there.
Yeah, so I can go ahead and get started. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to attend today. I'm excited to talk to all of you. I appreciated Patricia and Aaron's overview. I learned something about the market. Y'all follow it way more closely than I do. So appreciated that color. Just for a little overview, I lead our state policy work at Coinbase, but I also do a lot of our federal work. So I've been at Coinbase for about 3.5 years now. I came from Capitol Hill. I worked for Congressman French Hill before coming to Coinbase. He is now the chair of the Financial Services Committee in Congress. So he's been a very, very good advocate for digital assets. Before that, I had a long history working in different financial services, both traditional work with investment banking, but also with some of the trade associations in DC. So working at Coinbase was my first foray into digital assets, and I'm definitely not an expert by any means, but I have learned a lot in the time that I've worked here. And also, I want this to be a dialogue. So at any point, if you'll have questions, feel free to speak up, put something in the chat. This is very informal. Happy to just keep it casual. So pivoting, I guess I'll pivot, George, to the legislation and sort of, what Coinbase's interest is in that, and then we can kind of go from there, if that works.
Yes.
Great.
Excellent.
So Coinbase has been partnering with the Satoshi Action Fund to push what used to be called the Blockchain Basics Bill last year. We've now sort of changed the title to the Financial Freedom Act for this year to ultimately, what it does is create more regulatory certainty for crypto. And that's something that Coinbase has long called for, both at the federal level and the state level. I think what's really interesting is there's a lot happening federally, which I'm happy to talk about, but there's a lot happening at the state level as well. And, the states, everything that happens at the states filter up to the federal, and they have an influence there. So it's really important that we, continue to have a presence at the federal level because the things that happen, at the state level, because the things that happen at the state level do impact the federal level. And South Carolina actually has a very strong financial services presence in Congress between Congressman Timmons, Congressman Ralph Norman, obviously Senator Tim Scott, who's the chair of the banking committee. So there's actually you'll have, for the size of the state and the population of the state, I would say you have an outsized voice in the financial services world at the federal level. So that's also why it's really important that, we create this regulatory clarity at the state level, because again, that all filters up. Getting into some of just sort of the specifics of what the bill does, it basically says you can't ban Bitcoin mining. South Carolina has a strong Bitcoin mining presence, so that's something that we want to continue to preserve in the state. And I think it's worth noting, I think you all know this because y'all are deep crypto knowledgeable people. Coinbase does not mine Bitcoin, so that's not something that we're directly engaged in. But Bitcoin is our highest asset by both trade and volume. So it is something that we deeply care about and is important to the crypto economy. And we want to preserve the ability to mine Bitcoin. The bill also prohibits a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. That's something that we've seen pass through a lot of red states. I think I know y'all are all very knowledgeable on crypto, so I think y'all clearly understand the difference between stable coins and what a central bank digital currency would do. That's obviously something that would be controlled by the government of the country. And so stable coins would be private, CBDCs would be public. So I think that's something that also is, a strong piece of the legislation. It also has some talks a little bit about some of how the tax treatment for crypto. It basically says, you can't make it any different than how legal tender is treated for tax. A lot of it is just creating parity with sort of how our traditional financial system works and how the crypto financial system would work. And then sort of there's some zoning regulations in there. And I think the last thing that sort of Dennis was getting at is it does clarify that staking as a service is not considered a security. That's a business revenue opportunity that Coinbase engages in. It is not secret. 10 states have taken legal action against us, saying that our staking as a security or staking as a service actions are considered a security. And that's what sort of we've been fighting in court in all of those states. And as well as notably we were fighting it at the federal level as well. The Securities Exchange Commission was suing us about it. But as George alluded to, as of this morning, and I want to be clear, I had no pre-knowledge of this whatsoever. This was all very highly confidential, highly under lock and key through our litigation team. I found out when the public found out. But the SEC has officially dismissed our case. And that's actually it's a very big deal. We didn't settle. There was no change of, there was no money involved. There were no fines involved. The SEC has just decided that they are going to take a vote next week to officially dismiss our case without prejudice, which means that they can't bring it back another day. They can't refile the case if they want to. We have every anticipation that it will pass. The commission has to vote for this. And, right now it's a heavily Republican commission. So we do expect this to pass. And we're really excited about sort of what that means and sort of how that trickles down to the state level.
So Ashley, just to clarify, did the SEC just make the announcement that they were going to vote to abandon the lawsuit?
Yep, that was this morning.
Yeah, well, that was this morning. That was the announcement that that Brian made, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Because I thought it may have taken another step forward while we were talking. So, but no, it's exciting stuff, and obviously, just to kind of bring it home, we were at a fundraiser, Wednesday night after the bill, advanced, and I ran into the Attorney General, and I put together. I was thinking while we were coming out of that hearing, I'm thinking the Reagan days and Mr. Wilson, take down your wall, drop that lawsuit. So Grok, gave me the opportunity to, capture that. And he smiled, but he didn't necessarily like it. But it's we were ready for it, is what it came down to. So exciting times. Hand it back to you. Yeah.
That interview was on CNBC, and I'm going to get you, Kelly, to mute your phone if you would, please. Or I'll mute you. So that interview was on CNBC. They always have a little clip on their webpage that you can go back to. It is a fascinating interview. He gets into just not only the lawsuit, but dropping it by the SEC, but a number of things. And I want to talk to a couple of those today, but I'm sure it's going to be on the CNBC website, and it's only about a 7-minute conversation. But Andrew and he talked meme coins and a couple of other things. So for what it's worth, I think it's a good little dive to jump in there and listen to it. But anyway, that's just me. But Okay, so Ashley, we got you, and so we want to know a little bit more about Coinbase and what. And one thing that came out for me when the senators and the congressmen were together doing the news conference on trying to bring some regularity, guardrails to cryptocurrencies, was that there was an education element that needed to start at the legislator level. What they don't understand about cryptos and Bitcoin, and so that's kind of a hurdle. And I believe you told me, Ashley, that is one of the things you like to focus on is education. And so if you want to take a little stab at that, how can we craft something? And I think Dennis is interested in doing this as well. How can we teach our legislators? And I've got and Monday we have a representative from, no, he's a senator from the state legislature talking to our GOP Richland County meeting Monday. He's on that finance committee. His name is Sean Bennett, and he will be present at our meeting, and we get an opportunity to sort of face to face and talk, ask some questions. So maybe I can throw something out about education or Bitcoin Reserve, whatever y'all want me to ask him, or just ask me, because it's an open meeting. You're welcome to come, unless you live in Washington, D.C. or something.
No, great question, George. Yeah. So a large part of my job is education. And, I think you have to remember that these legislators they're just like you and me. Like, they're not, you have to, the way I'm sure everyone on this call has had to talk to some family member about what crypto is. You've had to explain how to, anyone that, like, a lot of people just, aren't interested. So you have to, it's no different than talking to someone else about how you would talk to crypto about explaining what it is. The thing you have to remember about legislators, though, is every legislator is going to approach crypto differently. Some are going to be very interested, and some are going to not care at all. So you do have to have a little bit of a sense of awareness when you talk to these members to sort of gauge and sort of read how much they want to know, and then you sort of respond to that in real time. But again, it's not any different than how you would treat your friends and family when you're talking to them about crypto as well. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to go and beat them over the head when they clearly don't care about crypto. Like, you got to sort of, again, you have to read the room. You have to have a little bit of self-awareness. I've had lots of different conversations. I've had people that I thought would care deeply, deeply about having crypto or learning about crypto. And I go into their office and then they're like, look, you want my vote on the bill? I don't care about what this is, but I like the idea that it promotes financial freedom. I'll vote for your bill. And then that's the end of the meeting. You don't need to say anymore. You don't need to talk to them anymore. You're like, okay, great. I have your vote. You're never going to want to download Coinbase. You're never going to want to download and actually trade the coin. But you get the very basic concept that crypto represents financial freedom. Good enough for me. Then I go into some other meetings, and I think they're never going to I'm convinced that they're not going to want to talk about this at all. And then, I was telling George this story yesterday. I was in a meeting with a South Carolina senator. We won't name names. He knew nothing about crypto, wanted to know everything that he possibly could. And he literally put $100 bill down on his desk and said, "This is $100 bill. I want you to give me $100 worth of crypto." And I said, "What?" What? He was like, no. I want you to take my $100 bill and give me $100 worth of crypto. I want you to do it for me.
Whoever that is, it sounds lazy as hell. Oh, God.
That's probably not what you would want to say to them in the meeting. Just again,
yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately,
it's not lazy.
I'm not your personal shopper.
It's not that they're lazy. It's that they just, they don't have. You have to remember, they have 100 things on their plate at any given day. Yeah. They have a lot. They have people coming into their office to talk about healthcare, to talk about energy, to talk about immigration, to talk about the economy. They're bouncing around from a gazillion topics every day that they only have a little bit of bandwidth to actually think about crypto. So when you have them, you want to maximize your time with them. And if that means helping them, show them how to get it on their phone because they don't have time to do it otherwise, then like, great. To me, that's a win. To me, that's like, let's take the win. Let's show them how to do it because they're only going to learn by doing it. And if that means I have to give them a head start, I'm happy to give them a head start. That's a lot of what my job is.
Did he have a wallet?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's coming real fast and furious because Bank of America, I just had a contact yesterday with customer service, and they were confirming my email address to send me instructions and information about the digital wallet that they're going to be using. So I mean, mainstream is heading in at breakneck speed, and the biggest challenge obviously really is I mean, just the need to set up a wallet very quickly. It was really easy when we had Satoshi action of the wallet of Satoshi, because that was an easy way to onboard somebody. I mean, you just few sats here, boom, it's done. Transfer it, it's done. You didn't have to do any KYC. I mean, so from the SEC standpoint, I mean, I'd love to see something that says, okay, especially I mean, simple.
Dennis, you hit a dead spot.
No, I'm sorry. Well, and actually, I'm going to have to cut out, but because we're going into a closing. So, Ashley, I'm looking forward to catching up with you. We're looking forward to putting together the education session with you. I'm going to get Annette in touch with your event folks, and there's so much coming down the pipeline. I've had Senator Scott's office on the phone yesterday. I've had people in touch with us. I mean, lots of stuff going on.
Dennis,
I'll take care.
it's all over the place.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you.
left right there. Sorry.
All right. See you, Dennis. All right, Ashley, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Did I lose you?
No,
Can you hear
she's there.
We there? We still there?
Yes.
I'm-
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. So yes, I think the thing to remember when you meet with members or legislators is that they have a lot on their plate. You're only going to have a limited amount of time. Read the room to understand what you want to get across, and have an idea of how you want to message. It's like, think of it, if any of you are salesmen, think of it as like sales. You are selling an idea, and you, at the end of the day, you want their vote. So how do you best get across to them?
I need to remember that. That's well worth remembering.
I will say that sometimes the most offhand comment gets the most attention from one person. I mean, give them some offhand comment at a meeting or something, that gets them thinking. I mean, the thing that you think that no one would care about, or that they wouldn't listen to, if they hear from, it just makes the whole process.
Sort of like Dennis said with the Attorney General. Sort of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that probably wasn't wise, but okay.
Thank you, Mike. I'm sorry, Ashley.
No,
Can I ask Ashley a question?
please.
I guess this is in the bill that's proposed. Why is there the section about the Attorney General allowing that nothing would prevent him from taking action against a person or business?
Yeah. So that has to do with the staking as a service. So basically what's happening, so the Attorney General oversees both security in South Carolina. They oversee securities and consumer protection issues. Not every state is like that, but that's how it is in South Carolina. We're saying that if the staking as in conversations, about this provision that clarifies that staking as a service is not a security, the staff in the Attorney General's office is often like, well, but a lot of this is fraud. This is fraud. We have to be able to go after fraud. Like, if you're taking our security status away from us, then we're not able to go after these people that are committing fraud. And the response is, no, you can. It's still a consumer protection issue. The Attorney General still has the authority to go after fraud. It's just under the guise of the Security Protection Office, not under the Securities Office. So providing that provision helps give them cover that this is still under their jurisdiction.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it allows but it would allow staking.
It would say that staking is under the consumer protection division.
Okay.
It would not say that it's under the securities division. That's the key there.
Yes. 10-4.
Yeah.
Okay. Patty, does that help you?
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay. And so I guess what I extended the meeting a little bit, and normally we shut off at about 40 minutes, but I knew we'd get into a long conversation. But I did want to ask, or I wanted to mention this interview with Brian Armstrong from Coinbase on CNBC earlier this morning. Was his reaction to the SEC dropping the lawsuit, but he also got into meme coins, and he talked to Andrew. The guy that was interviewing Brian was a guy named Andrew, and he talked about meme coins, and he talked about the Libra episode that Aaron's been following like a hawk. And if you've been reading anything about it, it's a lesson on what you need to focus on when you're learning about crypto, and that's just do your own research. But anyway, he talked about that. But the other thing that I was fascinated with is his predictive market comments, and I was like, I didn't know that was getting to be a thing, but evidently he
Kalshi, Poly market, and things like that.
Markets. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was saying, are you like predictive markets meaning like Poly market and Kalshi and all that? Yeah. Brian's been focused on that a little bit. I mean, he talked about it in our earnings call last week. What was he saying? I actually haven't seen the interview. I need to go watch it. Was he saying that will become more relevant?
It's fascinating because if you remember, let me just put it in the phrase of the election we just had. There was a map that was produced by Polymarket based upon the sentiment of the Polymarket audience, or people that play that market, and it showed a map of the United States, who would vote for Trump and who would vote for Harris. And they took that map from Polymarket and they took another map of the actual results of the election, and they were identical. You could just see that predicted what the outcome of the election was going to be before it happened, based upon sentiment. And I was like fascinated with that. So he brought the predictive market up as something that is going to be huge. And you mentioned a couple of platforms already, Ashley, but if you don't know what it is, just go to Polymarket and look it up. You can play in that market, and you can predict, what's going to happen next week with
price of Bitcoin.
I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Now, crypto.com has their own predictive market, and you can play. Anyway, it's a fascinating market, and he mentioned it, and he spent some good time on it. And I
think this is about, sorry, not to cut you off, George. I think just for awareness, I think to give a little more context, you can go onto the Polymarket or you can go into Kalshi and you can vote. Like, you can bet on anything. Yes. You can, they have bets on anything and everything. I would be remiss if I said you're not supposed to do it in the US. It is illegal to operate these in the US.
Okay.
It is right now, you have to be it's for other countries to operate it. As a US citizen, you are not supposed to engage in them. The reason Brian cares about them is because you bet on all of these things with crypto. So all of the bets are in crypto. That's why it's related to the crypto industry. I think Brian is excited about them. I think, and I haven't had a conversation with him about it, but he's talked about it on an earnings call. He's spent some time on it in this interview this morning. I think he sees this as a lot of opportunity to unlock a lot of potential for crypto as a use case. But it is essentially sports betting. It is no different than sports betting. And again, that's
right.
illegal here in the United States. So I do think that there's going to be a high lift to regulatorily and legislatively get this to be legal in the United States. And I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle that we're going to face on that.
Yeah.
So
But
if you were to,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Patty.
so if you were to try to place a bet or create an account, it would block you? Wait,
Yes.
how are they enforcing that?
No, it wouldn't. I mean, I did it on Kalshi.
You have to do it. Don't you have to use a VPN though?
No, not on. Is it Kalshi or what's it called? Kalshi?
Yeah.
Kalshi.
Yeah, not on Kalshi. Kalshi let me deposit money and everything.
And
Yeah.
you bet on what? Sports or?
Oh, I didn't bet on sports. I think I bet on the election because I mean,
Bet on anything.
or
Everything you bet.
yeah, anything you can bet. I mean,
Not
like
just asking Mike what he bet
the
on.
confirmation of Tulsi, the confirmation of everybody. I mean, how many? I mean, what was the popular vote? Will Trump win the popular vote? Will he? Will he win the state of Pennsylvania? Will he win the state of Nevada?
So are these yes/no questions?
Yeah, you take a position.
no.
You're taking a
It's a-
position. Like, will Bitcoin go over $100,000 by X day? Like, you can bet on anything.
Yep.
But it's not choosing a price or anything. It's just like a yes or no question.
Some of them are yes, no. They could also be. I mean, like here, who will visit the White House before April? Dana White, Mohammed bin Salami. Who will be the Dem New York City mayor nominee next year? How many trips to Mar-a-Lago will Trump make as president this month?
Gotcha. Okay. Goofy stuff.
Thank
You
you,
can
Mike.
just Google Kalshi and it'll come up. You can easily go onto the website.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating. He spent some time on it, but here was what my takeaway was that he said, with the proper guardrails, this could be the sentiment where you find truthful sentiment, not misinformation, because the vote is one way or the other, or the reaction to a certain element. And I got the impression he thought it would be a go-to medium to actually find out the truth about an actual incident or an actual process or that sort of thing. So he didn't say it was going to, he kind of mentioned that it might replace legacy media because you could get the sentiment of people. But, there's all kinds of guardrails that have to go around that. But it's a fascinating interview, and that got me thinking. And so to wrap this thing up, there is a roundtable that the CFTC is announcing, and the public is allowed to have input on the predictive market. That's what the roundtable is about. CFTC is having a roundtable on predictive markets in 30 days. They haven't announced the date yet, but today is the final day for public input, and you can go to the CFTC. You can just Google predictive market CFTC, and you can see the announcement, and it gives you an email address for you to be able to input public information public input. And today is the final day. So anyway, but I'm hoping, Ashley, that you will go to that.
So, couple of thoughts. Okay, so I was wrong. I was Googling this as we were going through this. Kalshi is, to your point, George, regulated by the CFTC. It is legal in states that have legalized sports betting.
Okay.
Holly Market is not legal. It has not been approved by the CFTC. So I think it sort of depends on which platform you're using. I will not be attending the CFTC roundtable, but we will have a presence there. Someone from our executive team will be in attendance. So there's a lot of roundtables happening right now. I mean, I think one thing we didn't talk about really today, but a little bit, is sort of the regulatory environment at the federal level. It's very different than it was a year ago. We're not having to be reactive anymore at Coinbase. We're not being very proactive. And because of that, a lot of people are very interested in having crypto is very, very top of mind for a lot of policymakers right now at the federal level. So there's just a lot happening, and it's exciting. We'll see what happens.
It is.
Yeah, and I did. I hope I meet you at the State House one day. So I'll look for you. And I did see a little bit of Donald Trump's speech a couple of nights ago, and he still affirmed, we hope that the United States is going to be the crypto capital of the world. And I looked at my phone, and that's when Bitcoin started going up 97.7, 97.8. So it did help the price of Bitcoin because we're up like $2,000 since that speech.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, listen, everybody, y'all have a great weekend. Thank you, Ashley, for joining us. I hope you'll come back and maybe we can get a recap of what happened at the roundtable. I'm sure there'll be some press on it and all that sort of stuff, this predictive market issue. And so anybody else got anything want to say? If not,
when is the full committee meeting on the Coinbase bill?
Next Wednesday. Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. Okay. And one other question.
The South Carolina bill.
Yes.
Wednesday.
Okay. Good to know. Because
there's no testimony on it. I want to be clear. This is the testimony all happens at the subcommittee level. So at this point, they just sort of are there. They may ask, the senators are able to ask questions if they want to, but sort of they've just moved through all the bills that are up for at the hearing, and then they vote on them, and then they move on.
And my final thing is that I'm going to ask anybody who'd like to. Everybody should have my email address or some way to contact me. But our friend Tim Niemeyer, for those of you who don't know Tim, he's written for Bitcoin Magazine. He's also written a book on Bitcoin. So anyway, he asked me. He said, I'm in the process of founding an Illinois Bitcoin and Blockchain Council. It's a working title. Have you got some time next week to discuss this with me? So I said, can I bring on some other people and that we might be able to have a little roundtable discussion? And so I'm throwing it out there. If you'd like to give me a time, and it's not going to be Wednesday because I will be at the State House for that event to happen. So maybe Tuesday or Thursday. And he's looking for the 10, 11 o'clock Central Time zone to participate in some sort of call. Probably Tuesday. But anyway, if you want to join us.
No, I've got meetings all day. If you set it for Monday or Friday, I can participate, but not Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I may get him to change the time. It might be better to do it on a Friday. So we'll see. But if you want to join that conversation, please let me know. And I want to say thank you, David and Victoria now. But anyway, I asked you to come on. I hope we covered some discussion from yesterday about the Sandbox Initiative and what they were doing in the financial market in North Carolina, and then David helping to promote that nationally, and the sandbox concept of what's going on with that market. But anyway, y'all have a great weekend. I say let's do something else and talk.
Okay. All right. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.